All right, hello everyone. So like I said, my name is Lucas. I was director of BostonHacks last year. I've also led a variety of other organizations. And today I'm going to help you facilitate a discussion on what it means to be a good director and how you actually go about actioning that. So I'd like to start off with a quote. Some of you may have read the description for this event. And you know, there's this philosophical question about whether it's better to be loved or feared. And so, would I rather be feared or loved? Easy. Both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me. Michael Scott. I don't know what episode it is, 2005. So, you know, when we talk about leaders, you know, we can idealize everything and be like, all right, you're going to give everyone tasks, they're going to get them done, it's going to work great. Well, it turns out that actually doesn't happen all the time. And often more than not, you're not going to be a perfect leader, and your team's not going to be a perfect team. So you need to find a way to be the leader that both motivates your team, sets goals for your team that are manageable, and actually gets everything done. So what does that look like? First, I want to start kind of survey the room. How many of you have been a director previously, last year? Raise your hand. All right, nice. How many of you are going to be a new director this upcoming year? Nice. And how many of you have not had experience being a director? Cool. So we have, I'd say, like around 3-3-3, 1/3 each way. So let's get started. And let's start by talking about what roles a director must take. You know, many of you just attended the talk over there where, you know, we realized it's not a good idea to micromanage. You could try and get everything done, but then you'd probably fail all your classes. So let's start by talking about what kind of roles a director needs to take. And when I call on you, I want you to say your name, say what event you organize, and then address the question. So what kind of roles do we think directors need to take?
Well, hi guys, my name is Aman and I am the director for Hackcon BC. And as you said earlier about you have like a job, you have classes, take all that, I think it's important for a director to be able to like delegate tasks and make sure things get done, or tasks get done in a timely manner and an efficient manner as well.
Right. So you need to create those tasks. You need to be sort of a product manager and a program manager in that sense. Let's get some other hands. Yes?
Kind of like the figurehead of your entire organization. I mean, a figurehead that does something, but you're the actual person that people are going to see with the sponsors and stuff.
Absolutely. And what's your name?
Lydia Sandroid from BostonHacks.
Yeah, so you're a speaker for your organization. You're facing your university and all these different departments. What else? Yes?
So my name's Corbin. I direct Hack the North. So one of the things that I think is really important is to be visionary, to steal from what someone said in that other talk, but be the one who sort of crafts big goals that your team is going to pursue, and be the one that inspires them to action.
Absolutely. Another hand?
I'm Michael. I'm co-directing Hackcon IT, and I think it's really important to lead by example and set the bar for excellence. If you expect a level of output from your team, you should be setting that example.
Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm one of the two co-leads of Texas, along with the other co-leads over there. And I think one of the important things you need to do as a leader is to be able to facilitate the growth of like the rest of your team to help them reach where they want to be, and if they want to be a leader, help them grow into that role.
Absolutely. I think it's important to touch on that. It's important that a leader is able to facilitate discussions and lead the team in not only saying, hey, we're going to go here, but asking the team, like, where do we want to go? Any others? Well, good. Now, I want to suggest, these are all ideal roles, but sometimes you do have dirty work that needs to be done. But there's a line, I think, between dirty work and work that you shouldn't be doing as a director. What are some unideal roles that a director shouldn't be taking on when they have a team under them or a team with them? Yeah.
Other than initial introductions, talking to sponsors, maintaining those relationships should be delegated.
Absolutely, because if you have a director, particularly a junior or senior, if they're doing all the talking to a sponsor, the underclassmen aren't going to have that experience and they're not going to be successful further on.
Director's time is probably worth more than some conversation with sponsors.
I'd hesitate to say worth more, but it's important in a different area, absolutely.
Let's say negotiating with vendors fall into the same category.
Absolutely. I'll admit, I took that unideal role last year. We hadn't delegated who was going to get the tables to the event, so I was making last-minute phone calls to get tables so people would actually have somewhere to sit. What else? I'll add making commits to GitHub repos. Probably not, especially if you have work that's being done by your tech team, and then you're all of a sudden like, no, it should be this. Instead of actually committing it and just pushing the master, what should you do instead? Even better, create a pull request, but who should be making the pull request?
Well, you if you want to make a change, but ideally if I want to make an issue, then assign the issue. So we don't need
Absolutely. Anything else? Yes,
Well, I was thinking going off of that, having like a discussion with your technology team and kind of figuring out if they also kind of agree with you on having this change being made or something like that. And seeing what their opinion is on the matter.
Absolutely. So we're starting to touch on, how we facilitate discussions and how you facilitate sort of this delegation of tasks. How does a leader effectively go to a team and say, hey, we need to get this done? How do we take the role of this delegation of tasks? And how do you properly communicate with your team? This needs to get done. And what's the line between micromanaging every small little thing they need to do to get there and saying, you need to get this done, it's your job to decide how we get there? Yeah?
I'm Brandon from Hackcon. I guess it's important to make sure that they know their responsibility and why their task is important in order for them to actually get the motivation to do at least one of the motivations.
Absolutely. So motivating your team, making sure that they know what the task is at hand and they are able to do it. Yeah?
Yeah, a big part of that, as you were saying, is like why something is important. So not just like we're doing this thing because I told you to do it, but we need to get this thing done because it's going to help us with this and this, or we've always done this one thing this way because it's worked the best we found 2 years ago, and we need to do this. And explaining that helps a lot.
Yes.
I like to start with goals, so instead of telling someone do this, be like, all right, we have a goal to do X, Y, and Z. Now let's have a conversation about what kinds of steps we need to take. And whether that's an individual conversation or a meeting, starting with goals is a much more open way.
Yes.
I know for us, offering like documentation, we've done jobs in the past when they're delegated, as well as like deadlines, helps a lot. So it's properly communicated what people know to do, so they can reference the old materials instead of going to the director about it.
Absolutely. What are some good ways of organizing old information and making sure that's accessible to your team? What strategies have you guys elected to use to make sure people aren't like, oh, we should do this. Oh, well, we already tried that.
We have a Google Drive folder, and we just have a folder called the past, and that has all the documentation. It just has everything that we've done in years past, so you can look up any single document.
Come on in. You're welcome. Yes.
So one thing that we do is a bit unconventional, I guess. We use GitHub issues to basically track like discussions we have about things. But that means we can go back and see the exact discussion that took place back in 2014 to arrive at some particular decision. So before anybody is going to implement a new way of doing that or change that decision for some reason, we expect them to be up to date on all of the context and all the reasoning that went into it before.
Yes.
Yeah, typically like team heads are in charge of like archiving. There's like team. When I say team, I mean like somebody does sponsorships, somebody does like relations, that sort of thing. Are responsible for archiving like last year's stuff, organizing it, so I can keep jumping back to previous years and looking at their meeting minutes and things like that.
What's your name, Hackcon again?
Daniel.
back there.
We have ongoing.
What's your name and Hackcon?
Fiona, she hacks, and we have an ongoing document that goes through what we wish we had done better for the next year, so that, and we do it right after the event, so that we're able, so because it's easy to forget even a week after, so it's really helpful for us to constantly be able to revisit that document corresponding to the different areas of the event that we wanted to improve upon for next year.
Sorry, I see you're taking notes. Can you send them to that email address? I forgot to do that. Thank you. Yeah, you just loosely follow the instructions, don't worry. This is recorded, so, oh my God. Cool. Yes.
We also use Google Docs, very similar way, but a level on top of that is we use GoLinks, which is like a software we developed. You just type go / like some memorable thing like go / travel reimbursements or something like that. And it's like a browser extension we developed. You can download it at go.hackman. And that's really helpful because like next year when you're like, oh shit, how do I do travel reimbursements? You go to like go / travel reimbursements, or you go to go / drive 16 or 15, or like the last years, and all of those like documents that are usually like a hairball.
Awesome. Let's take two more on this topic.
For me, personally, sometimes you might not be able to like document everything every single time, so we have like a alumni check because they're still just as passionate even after they graduate. So if you like have a question about any like methods that they've done in the past and see like what the reception was for that person, and then kind of go from there.
And last one on this.
So for TreeHacks, I'm Olivia from TreeHacks, and so at TreeHacks we also have the TreeHacks Wiki, which is a website that we have updated for kind of anything you would want to know about TreeHacks, anything we've ever done or thought about doing. There's just a wiki page for that, so it's a really convenient way to organize you into it.
Awesome. All right, so we know sort of the proper methods of what you're supposed to do as a leader. There's these ideal ways that you need to lead your team, set goals and stuff like that. But all of this ignores one big thing: tone and how you do it. So these are the characteristics of the leader. These are how you actually enact these things and how you ask your team to get stuff done. So I want you to think a moment and turn to your neighbor for 30 seconds and tell them about a leader that's been impactful in your life, and specifically what characteristics about them made them approachable or impactful or empowering to you. I want to see some hands for some examples, and raise your hand and tell me about your partner's leader and why they were effective. I just saw a hand go back down. Keep your hand up, Rudy. Rudy, tell me about your partner's leader and why they're effective.
Camille told me about her freshman year facilitator who keeps checking in with her, which made her really approachable and easy to talk to. I think a good thing for leaders to be approachable.
So being approachable and being proactive about reaching out to someone that you're mentoring. Very good. Other hands. You all talk to someone, I know. Come on. You can look at their name tag, see their name, just to be sure. Yes.
So, Parker talked about how leaders reaches out first to welcome new people in, make sure everyone's doing it right, being that friendly face, I guess, you need when you are going into these situations.
Absolutely, being welcoming to new members.
And from Lydia, she says, she speaks about how her leader is a positive motivator, not just someone who's like, oh, you should just do this, but I know you can do just because I see you around. So it's just, someone that says, yes, you're doing good work.
So really expressing faith in you. Sorry, hand down?
No. That was a highlight. I can talk on what
Yeah.
Fiona said. So her mentor, she highlighted that she was very good with feedback, that she always looked for people to try to cater a specific program towards them. So she always got feedback from her attendees.
Anyone else? So these are some characteristics. I think it's also important to highlight that there are different kinds of leaders, right? I'm sure we've all experienced a very authoritarian leader before in our lives, right? not exactly the best leadership style, but in the gamut of good leadership styles, right, there are many different styles of that, right? Some people are very inspiration driven. They'll try to inspire their team to do something. Some people are very goal oriented. What are some ways that either you've experienced a director or you as a director have tried to take on a persona or a leadership style in leading your team?
So my natural predisposition is just goal-orientedness. So it's sort of trying to map that so that not only so they understand like we have actual things that we can achieve, but also explaining where that gets us and how achieving these goals help us make our end result be better.
Gotcha. And how do you communicate to your team that?
Yeah, so communicating with them essentially, I like to, for the whole organization, because I'm the executive director, so I like to talk to them all at once and listen to what their concerns are, what their comments are, so hear what they have to say first and see where they have any concerns or comments, and then trying to work through that with them, and then talk to them about, all right, well, this is, now that we've covered what you guys were thinking about and now we can address that, also, this is where I think we should go, this is what we should do. But not just what we should do, but as I present each idea, asking what they think about it. So like maybe if there's something I missed or something I didn't see, they could have picked up on it and give me feedback. So it's more of a discussion of what we should all do based on larger goals that I've set.
I like that a lot because it also implies that you're not above your team and saying, hey, we're going to do this. You're very open to that feedback and you're on the same level as them. Yes?
I think it's important to sometimes be like a dynamic leader too. During like when we start up planning again for our Hackcon, I'm exec director, so I have one-to-ones with all my other directors. And in those meetings, we first establish, what kind of team, what kind of director do you want me to be? Do you want me to be hands-on, like ask you questions every so often, or let you handle your stuff, and then I'll ask if everything's all right periodically. So different types of people like to work in different ways and you have to understand.
Absolutely.
I like to be really involved, as I said, like lead by example. And I actually did take on some sponsors this year, and I felt that was an important component because when it came to like teaching the newer generation of students on our team how to communicate with sponsors effectively, I was one of the few older members who was involved in that and could show like the way that we do it and also set the example.
Let's hear from a new voice. Someone tell me about your director. Yeah.
I like to really get to know my team, like understand really well what their skill sets are and what their interests are so that when delegating tasks, I can do it in a way that they're going to be excited and motivated about whatever project it is we're working on.
What's your name?
Oh, I'm Nidhi from BostonHacks.
Others. What have you observed in previous directors or leaders?
Accountability is a big one, because usually it falls upon the directors if you have a big decision to make and you drop the ball. It's the best ones always say and admit like, oh, this is not what went wrong, but how to keep it from happening. So making sure it's not people are accountable for their actions, but also not only just being accountable, but also trying to remedy it and see how to prevent it.
Absolutely. It's always a tough topic. What happens when someone on your team drops the ball? Someone was supposed to order tables for the event, and they didn't. It has to still happen. You still have to have tables at the event, and everyone's not going to stand. But how do you address that? An authoritarian leader would just yell at someone and say, you did this wrong. But that's not going to allow that person to grow. That's not going to allow your team to grow. How do you address situations where failure occurred and ensure that your team grows from it?
With extreme ownership, you're the director, it's your fault, regardless of what happened. You were supposed to, so that those people you're guiding,
you made a mistake. Why did you let that mistake happen? It comes up the chain and it comes to you. You don't go down and yell at that person if you didn't guide them correctly. Because if you did, that mistake would have never happened. So I always think, and I always think the best approach is extreme ownership. That any mistake comes back to you, and you lay out exactly what went wrong, all the mistakes you made, and address your team with that. And then they will say, okay, he's taking responsibility for this, and they're going to be inspired to then look at themselves retrospectively. But if you come down and start yelling at people, you're just killing their motivation.
Yeah.
So I have experience as someone who is underneath the director and drop the ball, but having a director that's able to be with you is really nice because the director above her was enough that she would communicate with at least people who were even below that, the general director's hierarchy. She was willing to work with the problem and understand it because otherwise that problem would never have been spoken about. So the fact that she was able to communicate with anybody else that was on her team, even though she never really had direct contact constantly with them because people were separated into different teams, she still presented a presence that was willing to listen, to talk, to amend, and to make fixes where available.
Absolutely. Sorry, I think we missed it too. What are your names in hackathons? Is Anthony from Chris Hacks.
Oh, sorry.
And you are?
Cecilia from BostonHacks.
Also, it's important that we all know each other. We have a very short time here, but I'd love for you guys to discuss more of these in depth later. So we talk about accountability and leaders getting things done. Let's just go quick. And what are some other important characteristics that you look for in a leader? And what are some characteristics that maybe you've seen in a leader that you don't traditionally think about or associate? Single words even. Yeah.
Approachability. Talked about accountability a lot.
Oh, here you go. Hi.
Transparency.
Transparency.
Kind of like the right mix of having some amount of pride to want to get it done, but not enough pride to have it know about it.
I suppose staying like level-headed, situations happen. Staying progressive, thinking about what comes next.
Definitely passion. Passion about it.
So you need to care about your hackathon. Yes. All right, so we have our last topic. And this is how to actually enact this. You're asking a bunch of your peers, without paying them, to sacrifice a bunch of your time to put on this hackathon. Why should they? Pitch to me why, as a member of your community, I should come onto your team and work my ass off to get this event done.
Get a really cool sweatshirt there.
If it's at college, it adds a lot of value to your degree. If you have companies coming and actually recruiting and getting kids to work for them.
Yes, Rudy.
I'd say that a director should be able to inspire their team to be able to go above and beyond. But I feel like for any passion project like a hackathon, each member should have their own drive to do the hackathon. I feel like it's not entirely on the director to make pitch to everybody this is why you should put on this hackathon. I feel like everybody who's part of the team that I want to do this hackathon because I love the community, I love hackathons, this is something I want to do. And it's up to the director to take that take it to the next level, and that would be really great.
So it's more than just the director pitching why. It's the team saying, this is why we're doing this, and communicating that. Yes?
Kind of on the flip side, so I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and not really a big house community where I'm at, and also we have one CS major on our entire team. So I think with that, it's that all the previous directors have remained with Derby Hacks and have been really passionate about the program. Just we like helping new people join the hack community, and I think the younger people see this passion that we have from this program, and that's what inspires us to stay with us.
Yes.
So I'm Chris from Hacks. I'm the director. Last year and this year. The interesting was last year was our first year, and most of our team members were actually never been to a hackathon before. So so which was kind of interesting, and they wanted to be a part of a project like this. And then this year, a good portion of our organizing team is actually people that had Shellhacks as their first hack, and they've gone to other hackathons. So like, want to make something better, want to help Shellhacks be better, and have other people have the same experience, really better experience with that.
So one of the most important things for me is like trying to tell people why they should join Hackcon or why they should believe in our mission is by sharing the impact that it has had on people. So we love to tell stories about hackers who have had their lives changed in huge ways as well as small ways just by attending the event. And like what was just said, you start to have organizers who started their path on CS through Hackcon, for example. So for us, it's like if you can sell people on the impact that you see, the kind of people that really care about that and changing other people's lives will take that as drive to do pretty much whatever it takes.
Yes. That's Charles.
So,
Charles is BostonHacks. He's next year's director.
Everything that everybody has said is like really important, and like in addition to that, right? I feel like this is probably true for a lot of other hackathons as well, but for BostonHacks, one of our main reasons we throw it is because our curriculum is extremely theoretical, so we want practical, hands-on stuff. But when we're actually looking for the people to do that kind of, the actual organizing, when we find the person who's like really motivated to like kind of go out and learn beyond the scope of their classroom, and then bring them together with a bunch of other people who also have that same drive and motivation, it like creates this community within like the organizing team that helps people within the organizing team, and then like when the actual hackathon happens, it kind of like, I guess, diffuses those other hackers.
We are at 30 minutes of time. Who knows what's next on the schedule? Lightning talks? All right, so I don't think this room is being used. So if you would like to stay and talk about some other stuff, we will, specifically asking you about problems you've faced and how to address them. But if you would like to leave, you're welcome to attend the lightning talks. To summarize, I think we've all discussed here that there are these important characteristics of being a leader. But I think most important of all is that really you are in service to your team. You are not above your team. Your team is not serving you. You are the leader that is serving your team and guiding them to get to where you want to be. And that is it.